Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli back out here in the shop. I want to talk to you about really one of the most underrated baits that I throw. This is a bait I helped design a few years back. It's called a Havoc Subwoofer. And I want to talk to you about the three main ways that I fish this bait. It's a really cool little bait. And if you look at it, it's what we call a cut tail or a paddle tail style worm. And a lot of people call it speed worming or swim worming. And it's an awesome little bait. And I fish it three ways. You know, the first way is just out of the pack. I fish this thing a lot as a surface bait. You know, for situations where a buzz bait's too big, they're missing the buzz bait, or they're hitting a frog but not getting it. This is a great alternative or a great follow-up bait. And I'll use a 3 or a 4/0 VMC extra wide gap hook. You want that EWG style extra wide gap hook. And when I rig it, I want to rig it so that the cut in the tail is facing the opposite way of the bend of the hook. So I'm just going to go in the nose of the bait. I'm going to go in about 1/8 of an inch and pull it out. And I'm going to go all the way around the bend of that hook and pull that hook point right out of the back and make sure it's nice and straight. And again, the bend of the hook is up, so I want that curl, that tail to be down. That's going to give you maximum action. And this thing does a great job of staying on the surface. And I'll reel it straight in across the top, just like a little buzz bait. And that tail, just because it's cut and it's actually wedged, I don't know if you can see that there, but it's got more plastic on one side of the tail. It's going to spit and vibrate at every speed, slow, medium, and fast. And it just sounds like a little tiny buzz bait on top. And the great thing about this bait is if they miss it, I'll stop it and it'll sink real slow down, and a lot of times the fish will come back and get it. So I fish it as a surface lure. You know, the second way that I fish it is as a mini swim bait. And again, if you look at that cut on that tail, it moves at any speed and it throws off this beautiful, subtle little vibration underwater too, not just on the surface. And when I'm rigging it as a swim bait, I'll fish it on a jig head or, you know, a swim bait hook. And one of my favorite hooks is, this is a VMC drop dead hook, and I'll fish it in a 3 or a 4/0, and subsurface I swim it just like a regular swim bait, slow and low, and it's very subtle. And that's the second way that I'll fish it. And then, you know, finally, the last way I fish it, and this is a real sleeper, is as a trailer for a swim jig. It's an amazing swim jig trailer. You know, the only modification I'll make when I'm fishing as a swim jig trailer is I'll bite it down. And if you look at the bait, we've got an eye spot and a little gill plate. And I use that gill plate to measure it. It's about 1/4 of an inch into the bait. And I just cut it or bite it down. And then when I thread it onto that swim jig, once again, I want to make sure the cut in that tail or the bend in that tail is the opposite way of the bend of that hook of that swim jig. So I'm going to thread it on and pop it out, make sure it's nice and straight. And there it goes. It's a swim jig trailer. And the beauty of this trailer as a swim jig trailer is if you look at the body of a subwoofer, it's kind of keel shaped. It's got a V shape to the bottom like a boat. And this trailer, in addition to that tail vibrating, will actually give this swim jig a little side to side shimmy as you reel it. Let me tell you something, if you're looking for a new bait to try that you could use a lot of different ways, give this Havoc Subwoofer a try and you're going to catch more fish. See you later.